All right, so there's a couple things that we could do to make this game look a little bit better. Let's add in a var, we'll call this main sprite here, and we'll make that equal to an sk sprite node. Now what we're going to do is that there's a middle section in the app that we haven't necessarily set up here. So let's go ahead and let's add a function where we'll go spawn main sprite. And what we'll do is we'll say main sprite is equal to sk sprite node. And we'll add in our image name. And I believe it was text circle. And we go to main sprite.size is equal to cg size. And let's make it 250 by 250 at the moment. We might have to change that later. Let's go to main sprite.position is equal to cg point, and we'll say this is cg rect get mid x self.frame, and then cg rect get mid y self.frame. All right, we'll just put it in the middle for the moment, and then let's go to self.addChild, and we're going to go to main sprite, just like that. So we got our main sprite here, and of course we have to main sprite.remove from parent. I want to make sure that we delete it here. So let's take a quick look at that. And again, you want to make sure that you get the right answer here. So, and we also have to make sure that we spawn it. So we'll go ahead and say spawn main sprite. All right, so if we go to Xcassettes, it is called text circle. I just want to make sure that that is correct. And it kind of focuses it here. Yeah. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, just because of the angles, we could move it up just a smidge. And what that does is it's just something that's a little bit nitpicky, but totally makes sense. So main sprite, and they'll do the y, we'll do like plus 10. Nothing too much here. What we could also do is we could also add in, and since we could make its own function here, or we could do let, we'll call this rotate, is equal to sk action dot rotate by angle. My angle, let's say 10, duration will be 1.0. Okay, then we're going to go to main sprite dot run action, and what action are we going to repeat? So we're going to sk action dot repeat action forever rotate. Okay, so that's a simple way of adding that in here. And so we add in that rotation, and rotation is the easiest way of form of animation here, right? And that looks actually pretty cool. It's a little bit too fast, so let's take that down by 1, and let's take a look at that here. So we want it to be a little bit slower. So let's look at that here, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm thinking just a little bit slower, or half as slow as that. So let's say 2 seconds here, and let's run that again, just to make sure that it does indeed work. Okay, and yeah, that actually is looking pretty good. And let's take a look at this. If we made it 0.5, and that does work. Sometimes when you add in a decimal, it doesn't work because it's requiring an integer. In this case, it does work. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. Now, what you can do is you can go and copy this code over to the game scene, and we'll go to our spawn player. And again, you can make this your own function, or you can add in you can add in just a simple action here if you want to. And of course, it's not going to be main sprite, it's going to be player.runAction. So the player is rotating, and I kind of want it to rotate a little bit faster. So let's go to 1 and 1 here. And that way, what will happen is that it will indeed run. And it will rotate. All right, and rotation, again, is the easiest form of animation. It looks like the simulator has crashed, which is okay because it happens all the time. Just quit the simulator and reopen it. Not too much of an issue here. And we're going to run that here. And you can see just by adding in what your main object is of the game, it looks pretty good, right? You can see that's rotating, and that's actually pretty good. Right? There we go. Look at that. I'm going to make it a lot quicker, just because I do like that a bit more. This is again for the player. Okay. Yeah, look at that. Pretty good. All right, game over. Cool. And again, if you want to put this in its own function, you're more than welcome to. We'll say rotate the player. I have been doing that lately. However, some people like to put their actions within the area here. So we'll say rotate the player. It's up to you. In this case, it's almost the exact same thing. The analogy of $1 bill or 4 quarters is not applicable in this case because it's almost the exact same thing. Yeah, look at that. Pretty cool. And I do have to say that I like this text circle right in the middle here, and the fact that it's rotating like that just gives that extra bit of animation. All right. This concludes the tutorial.